Hello, and welcome to Steve's Mixtapes. My guest mixer this week is the singer, guitarist, and songwriter of Dublin band Power of Dreams, whose 1989 debut release, A Little Piece of God, was Single of the Week in both Melody Maker and Sounds. And in the same year, the band were named by the NME as one of their Stars of Tomorrow. After releasing 4 albums in the early 90s, Power of Dreams went on hiatus for the next 14 years. And in the meantime, my guest released a single under the name Pharmacy, played with avant-garde electronica group Archive, and released a solo album called Siamese, amongst other things. And then he reformed Power of Dreams in 2009. And here is a selection of some of his music. That was Cancer by Power of Dreams, Shine by Pharmacy, and Again by Archive. Now, to bring things up to date, in 2024, along with Dan Worton of Ned's Atomic Dustbin, my guest released the album The Age of No Opinion under the name Spoon Speaker Man, of whom more later. So welcome to Steve's Mixtapes, Craig Walker.
Hi, Steve. Great to be here.
Good to see you. Yes, took us a few goes to get this going, but we got there in the end. Those 3 songs I chose, Cancer, Shine, and Again. If you were choosing 3 of your own songs to sort of represent your work, would you have chosen any of those, or would it be 3 completely different ones?
I definitely would have chose Again by Archive.
Yeah, I love that song. I've got to confess, I hadn't heard that until I started looking a bit more into your background. I absolutely love that song.
Yeah, it's an epic tune. That was the first thing I released with the band when I joined. And yeah, great song. Very big in Europe, but it never really happened for the band in the UK on the same level. But yeah, that was a fantastic experience. Very different to. I was in Pharmacy. It's almost like you've done it chronologically, like Our Dreams, which was I really like that song you chose as well. I'm actually working. I'm working on the set we're playing a festival, Pair of Dreams, in next week in Ireland. So I've been revisiting a lot of that stuff, and Cancer holds up really well. Produced by the EP was produced by the Wedding Presents, the guy that produced the first Wedding Present album, Steve Allison, I think is his name.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah, so he produced that. We got him in because we were massive Wedding Present fans, so it was a dream come true to work with him. I would probably have chosen 100 Ways to Kill a Love purely because it was the breakthrough song for us, Power of Dreams. And it kind of got us on the map as such, or something from A Little Piece of God that you mentioned, which was the first record ever made, and that was produced by John O'Neill of the Undertones fame.
Yeah.
Again, which was amazing. You know, we were kids in London and in our first proper studio, and we worked with John O'Neill, which was astonishing. You know, so I probably would have chosen maybe something off that EP. Definitely Again by Archive, and what else would I choose? Good question. I don't know. Maybe something off the solo album. I've kind of grown to love it again. You know, it's weird with the older you get, and material you've got, stuff you've done in the past. You know, the reception a record gets will have an influence on how you immediately view the record, you know, but as time goes on and, you know, you kind of get back to loving what you did before. So yeah, maybe something off Siamese, maybe the song Siamese. It reminds me of a really good period in my life. And, you know, it was recorded in Iceland, and I had a great time in Iceland doing that album with an Icelandic producer, Bardi Johansson. So very happy memories, and yeah, so
Okay. But you're not disappointed with the trio I selected then?
Not at all. No, no.
Okay.
Shine was great. That's a good call. That was the only single we released. There's a whole saga to the pharmacy story, which I won't go into too much, but it's kind of like when you're around other musicians who've been around a while, like you kind of get out your war stories and what's the worst thing that happened to you as a band, and pharmacy kind of tops that. After we did that single, we signed a deal with a company called Red Ant Records in America, which was run by a guy called Randy Phillips, and he had signed Tony Braxton to A&M. They gave him his own label. He signed us, and on the night we signed, we got a call saying the company had gone into Chapter 22.
Uh,
It was actually in the restaurant when we got the phone call. We were like cheering, celebrating, and our manager and the British A&R guy went off to take a phone call, and he was gone for like an hour, which
uh,
uh, which kind of told us something was up. And he came back, he was completely white, and he said, "Lads, got some really bad news. That was Randy on the phone. They've gone into Chapter 22. The new Tony Braxton album has bombed." So that kind of that was the end of that project. Really, we had the album ready to go. We were going to go to I think we were recording in America. It was all set up, and we were in talks with like people like Butch Vig to produce the record, but sadly never happened. It never happened.
speaking of war stories, before we get to the music, as ever with the guests, I sort of looked up, old interviews, stuff like that. And I did find one, what you might call a war story from you, an incident you involved with Simon Cowell.
Oh, right. Yes. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I ended up at some it was like a TV and awards thing, soap awards. I ended up getting I met some, I think they were actresses from like Emmerdale, one of those. It was one of those random things. Met them on a train. They were like, "Oh, we're going to this thing tonight. You'll have to come." So I went along and yeah, got into an argument with Simon Cowell after the show, and was swiftly um, asked to leave, which which I'm kind of proud of actually, because he wasn't very nice, and I don't think he's been very nice for music either. I think it all kind of started to fall to pieces, the music industry, when Cowell got when people started taking him seriously, you
Yeah,
know,
fair enough. Fair enough.
and
Okay,
no
well,
show.
enough about Simon Cowell. Let's go on to your process for putting the mix together. Now, one of your emails said, "I've almost stopped torturing myself with choosing the list." So, did you find it pretty difficult to put it together?
I did, yeah. I found it because there was a kind of, there's a what's the word? There's a format to it, and it's really cleverly done. There was so much stuff that I could have put in, and I wanted to put stuff in that I could talk about as well, So, but yeah, it was difficult to narrow it down to the number. It was a 10 tracks.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Well, 7 of the 10 you've chosen are new to the show, which is good. I'd like to
awesome.
expand that. Not the first one, not that your hit the ground running track. In fact, your hit the ground running artist are the artists that have made the most appearances. This is their 14th appearance. You're going to be episode 82, Craig. So this is their 14th.
Wow.
Not surprisingly,
Not-
because I've had several ex-members of this band on the show. Martin Brahma's been on, Paul Hanley's been on, quite a few others. So it is
Yeah.
a full song. I did with you where I wrote a book about the fall, and according to my book, there are 525 fall songs. So why particularly New Big Prince?
I just love it. It was the song that got me into the fall, really. That was kind of my entrance in '88 with the album I'm Curious Orange, and particularly New Big Prince. When we were signed to for the first EP with Satanta Records, the label boss Key Cullen started sending me cassettes, and it was stuff. Back then he was living in London, and he put these really lovingly put together tapes, and the fall featured a lot on these tapes. So that would have been about 87, 88. And I'll be honest, I didn't understand the fall for a while. It took me a while to really. It was actually New Big Prince that kind of made me understand them. It just seemed too abrasive, and I was young. I was 17. I was into pop music and bands like the Smiths and the Bunnymen that were like obvious singles. but the fall was something else, and he put stuff on there that I kind of skipped over. So that was my first kind of real entrance to the fall. And weirdly enough, Spoon Speakerman was on tour recently, and Jason Brown, our guitar player, was a member of the Brick Smith band, Extricate. And she's, obviously he's good friends with Stephen Hanley and all the guys from the Fall. And when we played Manchester in March, April, end of March of this year, Stephen Hanley came up and played New Big Prince of Victoria with us, which was a real
Oh,
moment.
yeah.
So and we played it every night on that tour, and it just goes down a bomb. It's like we finish the set with it every night. And it amazes me how few people don't know the song. So many people don't know who it is. They're like, "What was that last song you played? It was like awesome." And you tell them it's The Fall, and they're like, "Oh wow, I just didn't know that."
My usual question at this point, Craig, is to ask people: have you always been somebody who's enjoyed making mixtapes and CDs and all the rest of it,
Oh yeah, yeah,
for
totally.
yourself or for others?
Usually for others. I mean, I used to like all my ex-girlfriends used to get the tapes that would have the hidden meanings, and you'd spend days working on what it means, and kind of putting these hidden meanings in. Yeah, I've always done it. I'm with friends as well, and as I said, like it was such a thing back then. As I said, like Key Cullen used to send me from Satanta used to send me, tapes every 2 weeks, and it was just a great way to get to know somebody, and in relationships, very much so. It was a big part. But even now, like I still make playlists on streaming, you know. It's not
Yeah.
nearly as much fun,
No.
but I still do it, and I'll still create playlists and send them to mates, stuff that I'm listening to at the moment, or you know, it's a great way. It's a great thing to share with people, you know. Kind of, it says a lot about you what kind of music you like. It always has done, hasn't it?
Yes. Yes, it does. It does. So your something old choice, is this something you've put on a mixtape before?
Ah, Frankie Valli. No, actually, maybe I would have. I could have went for something really obvious and gone for the Beatles or you know any of the classics. The reason I chose that was because I was thinking back in my house. My parents were too old for the Beatles. They were the generation above the Beatles. So we didn't really have the Beatles, like, you know, we didn't have tons of Beatles records. That came later with my brother. They weren't really into the Beatles. They liked the early singles, but we didn't have Sergeant Pepper's in the house, and we didn't get any. They would have thought it was just kind of weird music. But we did have a bunch of single. We had my dad, the family had hundreds of the mum and dad had hundreds of singles in the place, and I remember discovering that Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons single, "Silence Is Gold," and I think it was, you know, I think that came out in '62, so it was ahead of the Beatles. It was the first piece of music I think that it really moved me emotionally, you know, that I felt that it wasn't just jolly pop music. It had an undertone of melancholy and sadness to it. That I loved. That was my first kind of introduction to sadness in music. You know, it can be a beautiful song, but this song had a kind of an innate sadness to it that I really resonated with. Um, so when I ever hear that song now, I'm like, I'm back in my parents' house, being a you know putting on the 7-inch single and loving it, and it still really holds up. I mean, it's kind of the blueprint for the Beatles in a lot of ways. You know, it's that verse, chorus, middle eight, end, lots of harmonies, guitars on there as well as orchestration. And yeah, just a great song. And the Frankie Valli's an amazing singer.
Oh, don't it hurt deep inside to see someone do something to her? Oh, don't it
The Four Seasons with Silence is Golden, the something old choice of my guest mixer this week, Craig Walker. Now, another standard question, Craig, is in this era, you mentioned streaming before, and something ridiculous like 10,000 songs are released on Spotify every day. How do you, or even, do you even try to keep up with what comes out?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think everybody asks themselves the same question. We all kind of live in our own silos now, don't we? You know, with algorithms. To be honest, it's usually through other people's recommendations. I've kind of no longer really pay attention to stuff like Pitchfork because it all seems to be agenda driven. It feels like they're pushing stuff that they're getting paid to push.
There's a certain element of look at me about a lot of Pitchfork reviews as well, isn't there?
Completely, completely. I mean, I remember back in the day, like the Enemy or Melody Maker would have this thing for pop music, wouldn't it? Melody Maker they would choose certain bands that they liked that were pop. Like I remember, like bands like Dollar would end up on the cover of
Mm.
Melody Maker for some bizarre reason, but you never quite knew whether they were being arch or whether it was genuine. But these days, yeah, recommendations. If one of my mates tells me you got to hear this album, I listen to it, for sure. Or you got to listen to this track. But I've also got a 15-year-old son who listens to way more music than me, and he's introducing me to like post-punk stuff that I missed. That's what I really like about this generation is that they're crate diggers, but they're doing it on streaming. And I introduced him to post-punk stuff, gave him like a playlist, and obviously within a week he knew more about post-punk than I did, and was recommending stuff that I'd never heard of. So he's a good gauge. Who else do I take recommendations from? Musician friends, that are usually if muso mates are in love with an album, I'll jump on it. But yeah, it's kind of weird, isn't it? I don't really a lot of the time I ask a lot of people the same question and they're like, I don't really know most of the time. It's kind of just like lands in front of me. Like the big one at the moment is that the Canadian guys, Angine de Poitin, is it? I
Oh
can't.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, bit kind of not my cup of tea. It's cool that it's working, but somebody tore me onto that, and it's like, it's interesting, but it's not my cup of tea.
At this point, Craig, I normally ask about your something new artist, how you came across them. But I don't have to ask that on this occasion because you're not the first person to do this, I have to say.
I'm
You've chosen
glad.
your own singles. Yeah. Buggy Jive, also known as Brian Thomas, who's an excellent. If you've never heard Buggy Jive, I'd certainly recommend his stuff. He chose his latest single. So you've gone for the Spoon Speaker Man, most recent single, Tunnel Vision. Where did the name Spoon Speaker Man come from?
It came from Dan actually. Dan Worton, who's in the band, who's the drummer in Ned's Atomic Dustbin. The Neds were on tour in America, and they were in a diner on a day off, and this guy came in covered in spoons, and he also had a speaker connected to him to his front and his back, and they named him Spoon Speaker Man. So
Okay.
that's where it came from.
Fair enough.
Um, Quite random, but it's somehow kind of works.
I found an article about you on Louder Than War, and I should mention actually Ian Key from Louder Than War because it was he who put me in
Yeah,
touch with you. So big shout out to Ian if he's listening.
13, love him, great
Uh,
guy.
and in this article, it says, I don't think Ian wrote this, but it says, though they may have made their names in the 90s, you get the impression they have one foot planted in the 70s and 80s, meaning it's a deep well from which they're able to draw inspiration. What do you think about that?
Yeah, it's probably true. Yeah, yeah, that's fair enough. Uh, that was a great. I mean, the project came about. I just moved to the States, and Dan got in touch with me just as I kind of landed here and said, "Are you? We've been mates for a long time, never worked together. We toured. Power of Dreams toured a lot with Neds back in the day, and we're good mates. They're similar age. They were signed to a major label at the same time as we were, and we went through the highs and lows of that kind of stuff together. Dan hit me up and said, "I've got these tracks that I'm thinking of making an album with different singers. I'll send you three tracks. Choose one that you like, put a vocal on it, and if you're up for it, which I did. I did, of course. The tracks were great. I did one, sent it to him, and he said, "Oh, that's." I think I did. I think I sent him back a choice. I think I did two of the three that he sent. and he just said, "These are great. Thinking about it, you're for doing the whole album." And I said, "Yeah, why not?" So he started sending me. He sent me a bunch. Dan did all the music on that first record, actually, the first album. But they were all demos, really good demos that he'd recorded instrumentally in the West, in the Midlands where he lives, and um, he records on old 4 track. So like it's an old 4 track machine,
Yeah.
and they have that sound to it, which was great. Um, so he sent them, and I just start working on them, and it was ideal for me as well because I'd landed here. I didn't really know anybody here yet apart from family, and it was great to dive into that. And it was I haven't often done music like that where I'm not involved so much. I wasn't involved in the writing of the music. So that was great. I could just be a singer and a writer. And it just came together really quickly. The stuff that he sent was inspiring, and it was really good to write to. And it was quite, because I've ended up doing a lot of electronic stuff over the years. It was completely different to working with like an electronic artist, which I've kind of got used to doing, where you get sent an electronic track and there's not much meat on the bones, shall we say. It's there's not that many chords in there, and you've got to somehow kind of construct a song to that. Basically, you end up like writing the song. But with Dan's, it was very much greatly like it was perfect. It was like verse, chorus, middle eight. As we were in the '90s, that
Yeah.
kind of arrangements, which were just so easy for me to write to, and a pleasure. So yeah, and then we put the album out.
I really like the song Tunnel Vision. There's a bit of the verse that reminds me. Do you remember Plastic Bertrand and Ça Plaint pour moi?
People have mentioned that to me.
All right.
I'll hold my hands up. I didn't know the track until after, but I hear it. I can
Yeah.
hear it. It's that repetitive.
Just the first bit of the verse, then it goes away from it. But
Yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah. I can hear it. Yeah, you're not the first. I'm sure you
All
won't be the
right.
last. But I hold my hands up. It wasn't intentional.
Spoon Speaker Man with their 2026 single Tunnel Vision. And on to Something Borrowed. Now, this is this artist's second appearance, but it's definitely not a typical song by them.
We're talking about My Bloody Valentine. We've all the time in the world.
Yeah.
I love it. I, I think it does exactly what a cover should do, which is it does something new with it. You know, it sounds so much like it sounds like My Bloody Valentine. Obviously, I think when they left Creation, I'm pretty sure that was the only thing that Ireland ever got.
Mm.
But for me, it's one of the best cover versions I've ever heard. I love it. I love the vocals on it. I love the mood of it. Um, the drums on it are fantastic, and just the voices. It's probably probably the clearest vocals we've ever heard from My Bloody Valentine. Not hidden so much, and Kevin Shields got a beautiful voice. You know, you don't really ever hear that too much, but he's got a really he sounds very Irish on it as well. You know, I can hear the Irish brogue in his voice there again, which you don't ever hear on the My Bloody Valentine stuff. And I'm a huge fan. You know, I was a huge fan. I still am. Loveless, obviously, but Isn't Anything was a fantastic album. And Loveless was one of the three records that came out around the same time as I think it was the same time as Screamadelica, Nevermind, and Loveless. I think they all came out around within 6 month period or something like that. And
Mm.
Power of Dreams, we were living in London at the time, and it just felt like it was the best time in the world ever for music. That there was just these amazing albums coming every week, you know.
On to Something Blue, Craig. A first appearance for A House,
Oh,
who
good.
certainly a band I've included on several mixtapes in the past. And you won't be surprised that Endless Art is something I've stuck on
Oh,
there.
great.
Obviously,
Yeah,
their best known song, and is the sort of song for somebody who isn't like to have heard it. It's one of those sort of mixtape songs, isn't it? Um,
absolutely.
but I didn't know this one. So this is from their debut album on our Big Fat Merry-Go-Round, and the song is called "Call Me Blue." So you've gone for something with blue in the title. So yeah, so why particularly this track? Are you a big fan of them generally?
Yes. Yeah, they were you. They were from the same area as Para Dreams in an area of Dublin called on the south side called Walkinstown.
Okay.
They literally lived down the road. They were the first band that I ever, the local band that I ever fell in love with in Dublin. The fact that they were from the area was just huge to us because, like, didn't know any famous people. Nobody famous came from Walkinstown. Although Phil Lynott did come from close to where we were from
Oh,
as well. But that was, Phil Lynott was from a previous generation. They were very
mm,
helpful to us. We kind of orchestrated a way to kind of get to know them as you when you're deeply ambitious and young. Our drummer Keith, my brother, kind of struck up a friendship with Dave Couse, the lead singer of A House, and they were super nice and kind to us. They gave us great advice. They gave us opening slots, which were huge to us when this is pre first single. We were like 15, 16 at the time, and they're very supportive. And I love Call Me Blue, and I love that first album. I remember getting Keith got a he got a pre-release copy, like a promo cassette copy of the album off Dave, the lead singer. So I had it. I think it came out in October, and we had it from like August, July, and it just felt amazing. It was like the best album I'd ever heard in my life at the time. And Call Me Blue was the first single off that.
What a great world we all live in. Even better, what a time to be here. So break a leg now. Soon all the world's to be a stage. Too many actors sitting in high chairs. Call me blue, call me blue again. Call me blue, so the soul now. Too much bathroom music. It turns your brain to slush when you watch too much. On the TV, on the radio. Turn it up now, 'cause that don't turn it off, no. We need cotton ears, we need shower fears. Don't press on, soon you're gonna call me blue. Call me blue again. Call me blue. Call me blue. Call me blue. Call me blue again. Call me
Call Me Blue by A House, the Something Blue choice of my guest this week, Craig Walker. Want to take it down, and you've definitely taken things down. I think in my original notes when I first listened to this, I described this song, I mean, I knew it already, obviously, as stately, I think is a word you might describe.
Yeah, good description. Yeah, I got into Japan with. I have a brother who's 5 years older than me, and so that when I was like when he was like 15, I was 9, and he was listening. This would have been like in 79, 1980. He had great taste in music. He had a fantastic record collection. He was a real collector. And Japan was one of the bands that he played a lot. Joy Division got a lot of play. New Order got a lot of play. A lot of the post-punk stuff, and Japan featured heavily, particularly this song. It's kind of posh, isn't it? Like, coming from from listening to Joy Division to Japan, it just sounded like a very posh record. Uh, and yeah, I agree. Stately, it's got piano in it, which was like I had no interest in piano as a young teenager, wasn't my thing. But I absolutely loved this song. Just loved it. Loved the mystery of it. Didn't really know what he was singing about, which made it even better. But I knew there was something deep going on in the lyrics. Didn't quite know what they meant, but I knew there was something heavy going on.
Could I ever explain this feeling of love? It just lingers on. The fear in my heart that keeps telling me which way to turn. Well, wonder again. Our clothes, they are wet. We shower from the rain. Longing to touch on the places we know we can hide. Without a rule that could hold so much pleasure inside. Here I'm alone again. Quiet town where life gives in. Here am I just wandering. Night porters go, night porters stay away. I'll watch for a sign, and if I should ever again cross your mind, I'll sit in my room, wait until nightlight begins. Catching my breath, we'll both brave the weather again.
Night Porter by Japan from the 1980 album Gentlemen Take Polaroids. Right, another standard question, Craig. Are you somebody who listens to a lot of, for want of a better word, world music, i.e. not from the UK or Ireland or the US?
I when I was in archive, I spent a lot of time in France,
Hmm.
which opened me up to French music. People started like really recommending really good stuff. And I think Serge Gainsbourg was the first person of who didn't sing in English that I really went down a rabbit hole with and discovered and loved.
It's really bizarre. Serge Gainsbourg has cropped up in about 6 of my last 12 interviews. I don't know why Serge keeps cropping up, but he's either had a song chosen, one of his daughter's songs was chosen, and he just seems to have cropped up in conversation. I don't know why that is, but there we go.
Wow. Has he been picked on the show? I bet he has. I bet quite a few times.
Yes. Well, Lindsay Boothman came on and chose an entirely reggae and dub-based selection, and
Oh
she chose
wow.
from his reggae album. And
Okay.
somebody else, I can't bring to mind who, chose a song by his daughter Charlotte. But he just seems to have cropped up a lot as well. So there
Yeah.
you go.
Amazing. I mean, I remember discovering him, and a French friend of mine said to me, said it'll be like discovering Bob Dylan, Bob Marley all at the same time, all melded into one because this guy covered all bases. Um, and yeah, and I really that kind of opened up for me well, you don't have to understand the lyrics all the time. And that
Mm,
and I think that's what I like about listening to music that I don't know the lyrics. Like I'm really enjoying the Rosalia album at the moment. I don't understand the lyrics. I don't care. It's the sound, it's the emotion, it's the feeling, and that's what Serge Gainsbourg kind of that opened my mind to that. And obviously like the world is a different place now where everything's available. You
yeah,
can
yeah.
you can get into stuff that the idea of listening to music from other parts of the world was kind of impossible back when I was a teenager.
Now we
Yeah.
are in France for your Around the World choice. An artist quite hard to find anything about online. So this is I kind of get the impression that's deliberate. So this is Gwendoline.
Yeah, Conspire, I believe is the name of the track.
Yeah.
I got turned on to them by a French friend quite recently, actually, who had just gone to see them play in a show in Paris. He said it's underground, like they're very underground. They're very happy about that. But I just loved it. It's kind of, people talk about bands like the Fontaines DC of being like, post-punk, but I think this a band like Gwendolyn get it more. They're for me that's post-punk. That's what post-punk should be today. It's very minimal. Uh,
It's
you
almost
know,
sort
the,
of icy cool electro pop sort of stuff, isn't it?
yeah, exactly that. Yeah, I like it. I don't know everything that he's saying. I can catch a bit of it. But my friend said, that they're talking about social issues, and I think they call it cold. What was the? He described it. Let me see. It's cold wave.
Okay.
Um, it's how they're describing it, which for me is perfect. But I love it. I love the build on it. I think it's a great track, and I think they're a band that if you've never heard of them, go check them out. Check out their music. It's really very interesting. And going back to that thing of it's nice to not always have to know what the lyrics are saying. It's nice to just concentrate on the melody, maybe the melody or just the music. And when you don't know what the person's saying, it helps to focus on that.
Union soviétique, modèle idéal, la Corée du Nord, bon système social, ticket de rationnement, dénonce ton voisin, culte du chef, c'est notre champion. Gloire au parti, à tous les travailleurs, hymne national, on va les niquer, c'est nous les meilleurs, on va la gagner, achète une merguez pour la caisse de grève, santé mon Bernard, pour tous tes milliards. Le bon politique, c'est celui qui fraude. C'est celui qui fraude. Paradis fiscal, soleil agréable. Laissez nos banquiers, laissez-les travailler. Les États-Unis, la fierté des armes. Arabie Saoudite,
Le respect des femmes, centre commercial, c'est vraiment génial. Centrale nucléaire, une énergie viable. Dans les abattoirs, confort de l'animal. En Amazonie, ils aiment les arbres. Arrêtez de critiquer, retournez dormir. Allez travailler, retournez dormir. Vive la nation, vive la légion. Il faut garder notre fric, on emmerde les régions. L'écologie ça sert à rien, tout ça c'est du bidon. Faut plus de gasoil pour notre nation. Envoyer l'armée, sans limite ni restriction. On veut tout consommer, surtout si c'est moins cher. Fermer les associations, foutez-les en prison. C'est une conspiration, tous les pauvres et les chiens. Armée obligatoire, dès l'âge de 16 ans. Discipline et volonté pour notre intégrité. Car ce monde est génial. 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 Car ce monde est génial.
On to left of centre, Craig. Now, I mentioned before that you're not the first person to choose one of their own songs, but you are the first person to choose two.
Oh my God. I don't know how I feel about that.
Well, but it was a very interesting one as well. So this is you with Mark Hurtado. Am I saying that correctly?
Yes.
And now, as I understand it, you met at a tribute show for Christoph. And Christoph, whose real name is Daniel Bevilacqua, if I'm saying that correctly, who it seems to be a fascinating character. So first of all, tell me about you and Mark.
We met. Yeah, Christoph was a friend of mine and a friend of Mark's. Christoph has written some of these, like he's written standards in France. You know, he had this.
There's a huge deal in France, isn't he?
Yeah. Some of his songs would be considered part of the French songbook. You know, his career dated like from the 50s right up until he died during COVID. But he was a friend of mine, a friend of Mark's. He died during COVID. He's the first person I knew that died during COVID. He got. It was quite early on. It was in the first lockdown. He died of COVID, and they couldn't have a funeral. There was nothing. You know, it was very sad. It was at that point where nobody could. You know, you couldn't visit people dying in hospital even. So there was no funeral to speak of. But when we came out of lockdowns and all that, there was a concert arranged by his band, his musical director, and I was invited to take part. And I met Mark there. It was in a place called Juvisy, which is the town just outside Paris that Christoph was born and you know lived. So Mark was there, I was there, and we ended up being put together to play. We played a couple of songs together live, and it was one of those meetings, you know, when you meet somebody and you immediately click. It's like,
well,
I'm going to make.
He said somewhere online, our meeting was a magical moment. We had never met before, but 30 minutes after leaving the stage, we were already imagining working together.
Yeah. It was like that. Yeah. Sometimes it happens, you know, you meet somebody and it's like, damn, I could work with you.
Well, it's interesting as well. Regular listeners will know that when I listen to the playlist the first few times round, I don't look anything up. I listen without context, just listen to the music. And the three things I noted down about this track were, first of all, slowed down suicide is what I wrote. And then I wrote, first half atmospheric, second half downright menacing.
Yes, I love it.
But the suicide thing is interesting because I later on stumbled across a web page called 12 Reasons to Love Christoph, which I put a link to again on stevesmixtapes.com. And I found out all sorts I haven't finished reading it yet. It's quite long. I found out that he used to sell his own jeans. He used to write designs on his own jeans and sell them. He once had an exhibition of jukeboxes that he collected, and also that he met and worked with Alan Vega. So I wasn't too far off the mark.
And so did Mark. Mark worked with Alan quite a bit on solo stuff, and then with Christoph and Mark, they put some music together as well. And actually, when I at that concert, the Giovisi tribute, me and Mark actually did a suicide song that Christoph had done a version of as well with Alan Vega. So yeah, you're bang on there. And actually, at the moment, Mark's on tour with Lydia Lunch, who he tours with regular, and they do a suicide songbook. They do a set of songs by Suicide, and Lydia fronts it, and Mark does the music. We're just working on. We're almost finished the second album. We did an album together, and then we're just about to finish the second one, which is great. I love working with Mark. He's got a great spirit. I love he's got proper punk rock attitude to music, which I really love, and creativity, and the kind of more out there, the more he likes it, and I love people like that.
Well, it is, yeah. Well, it is quite out there, but I really liked it. I really, I haven't listened to the whole album yet, but I will. So this is from the 2025 album Dream Up a Dream. This is the title track, Prepare to Be Menaced.
Looking for a father, someone to look up to. When the love is harder, you just learn to make do. Traumatic ripples leave us as cripples. Ton sourire, with the devil inside, who just won't go away. Feeling suicidal, dans le bleu, too scared to do it. Demi-dire, take comfort in rivals. Bad luck admitted, deeper the hole, the blacker the song. Se trouve with the devil inside, it just won't go away. Comme une nuée de moineaux au-dessus. Praying to God, du puits, you won't wake in the morning, waiting for a knock. When your life is so boring, une porte fermée, ending doom, self-medicated. When the devil's inside, it just won't go away. When the devil's inside, it just won't go away. Quatre
Paramount Street, Sing Street, death in the playground, toy store, Leonard's Corner, Matchbox cars, Miss Nagel, Christian Brothers, leather shoes, priest robes, split mouth, playing rabbits, hospital visit, Green Park, Kilmashogue, Suburbia Field. You made it all, not me. You dreamt it up for me to see. I stood back in amazement at the wonder in it. No cracks, no faults. It's a perfect fit. Blue skies above, covering up the shit. Dream up a dream. 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 You made it all, not me. Dream up a dream. 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 Dream up a dream.
So, Craig, your wild card. To be honest, your wild card choice could have been your left of centre as well. I wrote down something that is probably going to be seen as quite cryptic unless you've actually come across this artist. I wrote down German Army.
Ah,
Have you come across German Army?
oh,
Right, so German Army, I'm going to say a band. I don't know whether a band or one person, but you can get all their stuff on Bandcamp, and it's very experimental, chopped up tape loops, the sort of thing. They seem to release an album. There's loads of it on Bandcamp. A lot of it comes out just on cassette, 200 copies and that's it. They seem to release an album about every fortnight, as far as I can tell. It's very hard to keep track of. When I started collecting and buying some of their stuff, I soon found I had like 250 tracks by them on my hard drive without any effort whatsoever. So yeah, this reminds me a lot. But when I looked into Knox Chandler, who you've chosen, he's been around, hasn't he? He's worked with Depeche Mode, Psychedelic Furs, Ultra Vivid Scene, The Creatures, R.E.M., Susie and the Banshees, and Cyndi Lauper, of all people.
Yeah.
So he's done around. So the other thing I would note about him, you mentioned being a wedding present fan. He's the head of the guitar department at the British and Irish Modern Music Institute, BIM, as it's known. Also, the workplace of John Stewart, who, of course, guitarist in Wedding Present and Sleeper.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
But not. I know Knox. I should clarify that now.
Okay.
Knox is a friend, really good friend. He's no longer with BIM because he moved back.
Okay.
He was in Berlin the same time I was there. So we were really good buddies, and we worked together quite a bit. And he was doing lecturing at BIM, but he left Berlin before I did, about a year before I did, and went back to Connecticut to look after his mum, who's very old, and her health was ailing. So he's based back in the States now. Yeah, not Knox is a phenomenal. He's a real inspirational character. As you said, he's played with Depeche Mode, REM. He played the cello, the electric cello on two of the tracks on Automatic for the People, which is one of my favorite albums of all time. So he's done great stuff. He also did the Dave Gahan solo album, the only solo album Dave Gahan ever did, the Paper Monsters. That was Knox produced and wrote that with Dave Gahan. And he toured. He was in Psychedelic Furs. And in Berlin, he started developing this ribbon sound, that he's kind of continued to evolve with. Guitar ribbon sound. He was using iPads in a very interesting way, and he's a real artist. And in Connecticut now, he's got a studio there. He's out in the countryside. He's fishing, and he's making records. And I'll say to him, so when you're out fishing, do you put music on to get inspiration for your own stuff? And he's like, the river's my inspiration, and I love that. The sounds of the river are what's inspiring him. And I love this track. I think it's really awesome, and I love the album. People should.
Yeah, I've listened to it twice. I think it's a really, really good album. I highly recommend it. I mean, I would say to listeners, if you are stuck on having verse, chorus, verse, middle eight, and a nice melody, this might not be to your tastes. So,
No.
what is the wild card? But really, is the second left to centre choice. This is Knox Chandler with "Lost Dusk Feather." Right then, Craig, we're almost at the end. Another standard question. What's the future hold for you? What's happening in the rest of 2026?
I'm going to Ireland next week, playing a festival, it's called Forest Fest, in just outside Dublin. Playing that with Power Dreams. Echo and the Bunnymen are playing it. There's Ned's Atomic Dustbin are playing it as well. Dan's over for that. So that's immediately. That's the first thing. Just finishing up. I've got two more bits to do for the second Mark Hurtado album. That's almost finished. So I've been quite busy with that. Working on new Spoon Speaker my music, and we've got, as I mentioned, Jason Brown earlier is like, we're working with Jason this time on the record. He's writing he's writing music as well, and so it's become. We did this tour, Spoon Speaker Man. We did this tour in March. It was the first time we played together. And the band was great, and Dan's wife Kerry is now in the band, and it became a band. It was one of those situations where on the tour we were like, this is great. We all get on really well, and everybody loves each other's company and loves what each other does. So there's going to be more Spoon Speaker Man music. There's new Power Dreams music coming actually. And we're out again. We're in the UK in November. We're playing some shows. We're playing at the Shine Festival. It's around November. I think we're playing London on November the 7th as well with the Mission, who they're celebrating a 40th birthday, and we toured a lot with the Mission. And we're going to put out some new Power Dreams music around that time as well. So yeah, keeping busy,
Yeah.
writing, and I while I was in Berlin for like 8, 9 years, I spent a lot of time working as a writer as well. Writing with other artists and kind of or for them, and I'm still continuing to do that. So and I enjoy. I don't do as much of that anymore, but I still enjoy it. I was working with some French artists recently and doing the Zoom thing, Zoom writing sessions. It's great. The what you can do, like COVID opened the doors for. I would never have done I would have balked at doing a Skype session. I know some people probably did pre-COVID, but I would have been like, no, I'm never doing that. But we got forced into it during
Yeah.
COVID,
Yeah.
and it was the one positive, really, to be
Yeah.
honest.
Yeah. Well, I
Um,
would never be doing this.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We all
Yeah,
we all we all took what we got, didn't we? So
yeah, we did.
yeah. So it's like for that reason alone, it was really interesting. Like you can literally work with anybody,
Yeah.
uh, and also the fact that you can send stuff quickly. Heavy files. It's not impossible anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
It take forever to, as I'm
Well,
sure.
to use an example, my Guided by Voices t-shirt on.
Love
Um,
it.
Bob lives nowhere near the rest of the bands and has done for years, and he basically writes a load of demos, sends them with instructions. They record the actual track, send it back to him, and he does the final vocal on it.
Exactly. That's exactly what happened with the next Paradream, the new Paradream single we've just finished. I kind of wrote it here, sent the guys a rough demo, sent them up to my brother in Arizona who put down drums onto the demo. He recorded drums properly. Then sent that to Dublin for the bass player to record his part separately. Then on to London for the guitar player to do his, and then it came back to me and I recorded my vocals, my proper vocals. So yeah, it's crazy.
We've come a long way from when I was first a teacher using a computer. You'd make a worksheet with one photo on it, and it would take up a whole disk. Um, there we go. Anyway, before we get too retro and all the rest of it, we'll go on to your finale track. Perhaps surprisingly, this is only the fifth appearance for the Smiths in 82
Wow.
shows. You might have thought they might have
Yeah,
popped a bit more.
yeah.
But yeah, I particularly like this one as well. Yeah, Paint a Vulgar Picture, which has a great lyric. I mean, it's a long way from the lyrics of, the Hatful of Hollow stuff, where it's all about, under the dark and underpass and all that stuff. This is a very, very specific lyric, isn't it? And it's got some great lines in it. I always loved the bit about, slip them into different sleeves, buy both and feel deceived. I mean, there's lots of great
Great.
lyrics. Extra track and a tacky badge, I always thought was a great line as well.
Yeah, yeah.
And the other unusual thing about it has a guitar solo in the middle.
One of the very few guitar solos
Yeah.
I've ever picked, actually. I gotta say, I hated guitar solos, unless they were one string kind of punk
Yeah.
things. I wasn't into them, but I love that guitar solo. Big Smiths fan, and we mentioned Ian Key earlier. I
Yeah.
did a bit for a book that he put out recently about the Smiths, so that kind of ties everything up. Shout out to Ian, buy his book on the Smiths; it's excellent.
He's
I'm
currently doing another one, A Fan's History of the Fall.
exactly, yeah. I've had the emails.
Yeah, so have I.
You've had them, I'm sure. Ian's a great guy, crazy music fan. I love it. Saw him in Manchester recently when Spoon Speakerman played. The Smiths, huge band for me. Like, loved them. They were my Beatles. I was, they were, my older brother got me into them, so they were the first band that I was buying the albums as they came out, and like right up until Strange Ways. I remember when that was 87, so I wasn't in the music industry. I was a 16-year-old trying to get into the music industry, and I remember the lyrics thinking, I want to be in that position. I want to be in a position where I'm moaning about the record company, and I did get to be in that position. Not long after, and he completely nails it.
At the record company meeting, on their hands a dead star, and oh, the plans they read, and oh, the sickening greed. At the record company party, on their hands a dead star, the sycophantic slags all say, I knew him first and I knew him well. Reissue, repackage, reevaluate the songs. Double pack with a photograph, extra track and a tacky badge. A-list, playlist, please them, sadly this was your life. But you could have said no if you wanted to. You could have said no if you wanted to. BPI, MTV, BBC, please them, sadly this was your life. But you could have said no if you wanted to. You could have walked away, couldn't you? I touched you at the sound check. You had no real way of knowing in my heart. I beg, take me with you. I don't care where you're going. But to you I was faceless, I was fawning, I was boring, a child from those ugly new houses who could never begin to know. Who could never really know. Best of, most of, satiate the need, slip them into different sleeves, buy both and feel deceived. Climb a new entry, re-entry. World tour, media hall, please the press in Belgium. This was your life, and when it fails to recoup, well maybe you just haven't earned it yet, baby. I walked a pace behind you at the sound check. You're just the same as I am.
That was, of course, the Smiths with Paint a Vulgar Picture from 1987. Strange Ways, Here We Come, which came out just as I was starting university. Craig. So, yeah. So, it just remains for me to ask you, Craig, whether you, despite the torture, whether you enjoyed putting a list together or whether you enjoyed coming on tonight.
I've had a great time. Thank you, Steve. And I really enjoyed putting the list together, despite the fact that I chose two of my own tracks, which I forever feel ashamed of. But as I said, the second one is extremely obscure, and if it gets a few people to listen to it, then it's great. So yeah, no, I totally enjoyed it, and it was great to be part of the show. And you have a stellar previous guest list, and I was like very blown away by that. So yeah, that's a great format. Because I thought it was originally, I didn't realize there was a format, so I was like, "Oh, I just picked 10. It's just pick 10 tracks."
Oh,
and then,
no, we don't have that.
Then I went and checked, and I was like, "Oh, it's not that."
Yeah, no, parameters. We have parameters.
I love it. I love it. Really cool. Really well thought out. Yeah, and makes you think, which is important. It's not just about your favorites or your. There's a bit more to it, which I really enjoyed.